Good evening, everybody. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Nate Eaton. Welcome to Courtroom Insider. It is April 24th, 2025, and tonight we have a juror. One of the jurors in Lori Vallow Daybell's case will be here in just a minute. I spoke with her earlier today, had a good conversation with her. She had no idea about this case, about Lori Daybell, about Tylee, about JJ. She has learned a lot within the past 2 or 3 days about what happened and all of the circumstances surrounding it. And she has some interesting things to say. For instance, the fact that they really reached their decision in less than an hour. It didn't take long. And they really just kind of watched the video that Lori did. And there were a couple of jurors who were on the fence, and they just discussed a few things out. But you know that video that we talked about a few weeks ago here on Courtroom Insider of Lori walking into Walgreens saying she needed flip-flops because she didn't have shoes? That was a pivotal part in their discussions. So in just a moment, we're going to talk with Tosh Reed Tucker. She is a juror on the Lori Vallow Daybell case, or was a juror, I should say. I asked her all about her thoughts about the judge, the prosecution, about Lori representing herself. We'll get into all of that in just a minute. Would love to know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions tonight, I'll answer as many as I can. I know the trial's kind of winding down. I did say yesterday that we would have Mike Watkis here tonight, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I'm going to chat with Mike, and I think there's so many interesting things that we can talk about. He has an incredible career. You know, this guy did a one-on-one interview with the Night Stalker in jail. He has covered the World Trade Center in New York City, the disaster there. He has covered the Oklahoma City bombing. He has covered O.J. Simpson. He worked for Hard Copy, A Current Affair, Real TV. It's just an incredible resume. But the biggest thing that he's probably known for is his investigations into the FLDS. Warren Jeffs put out a kill order for Mike Watkis, and he has covered the religion for 40 years. And he was fascinated in Lori Vallow Daybell because of the religious undertones that we've also seen in the LDS undertones that kind of rippled through the Vallow Daybell case that also are huge into the FLDS case. Different beliefs, different systems, but they all kind of tie back. So I'm going to tomorrow night, we'll have Mike Watkis here, and I'll stop talking and we're going to get straight to this juror interview. She was on the jury and has some interesting aspects. So here is my conversation with Tosh. All right, Tosh. So how are you feeling here? It's been 2 days since the guilty verdict. Have you binged watched and read everything about the case, or have you kind of unplugged?
I have. I've watched it and just kind of relaxing now that it's done. And yeah, it was pretty crazy, everything that we saw.
What's been the biggest surprise that you've learned since the trial's been over about the circumstances with this case?
Um, by the time she even gets to this part of the whole thing, um, she won't even make it to it, which is crazy because she's already serving so much in
Yeah,
Idaho.
you mean by the time she gets whatever she said to do with this part, doesn't really matter because in Idaho she has the 3 life sentences.
Yeah,
So you didn't even know any of that.
no,
No idea. And
nope.
now that you've learned, did you ever during the trial, my big question was for the jurors, you kept hearing about Tylee. Did you ever wonder, well, where is Tylee?
Yes. Yeah, but we couldn't really ask about it or look into it because we were asked not to. So,
Did you think that Tylee was still alive?
yeah,
You did.
yeah, yeah, because at the time she was only 16, so that would only put her in her 20s.
Mhm. What was the biggest surprise for you in the trial? Like, what was there one day or one witness that really like surprised you?
Um, Actually, yeah, the the girl that met up with Charles the day before.
Nancy Joe.
Um, yeah, it was a little bit um it was it was pretty interesting to watch hers. More because it blew up for her comeback, what she said. But um, I was surprised that she was there.
Wait, I think you mean the moment when Lori said, "So you spent your whole time talking about me," and she said, "Don't flatter yourself."
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly that.
yeah. That she was a memorable witness. I know a lot of people were impressed with her. What was your thought about Lori, how the job she did in representing herself?
Um, Honestly, the first part was a little shaky. The first week was a little bit shaky, but then the second part, um, I think she did pretty well. Other than when, other than like the parts where she got a little bit sassy,
Right,
but yeah,
right. I think that's kind of her personality. How
yeah,
about how about the prosecution? How do you think they did?
I think they did extremely well. They got her. You could tell that they cracked her a few times, and that was good. That was a good thing to see happen and watch
Were there
because
any,
it helped us with the overall.
right, to the overall picture, the overall story of it?
Yeah, yep.
Was there ever a moment where you were like confused or like wondering, wait, who are we talking about here? Because there's a lot of characters here, and there's
hmm
a lot of your one character becomes Ned because he's a zombie. I mean,
hmm
were you ever just trying to put it all together in your mind?
Yes, but I like to think that I did pretty good at taking notes. So I wrote all the times down. I wrote all the names down. I wrote when it happened. Um, I had pages and pages and pages of notes. So I looked at those every day at the end, and I was pretty good at keeping on track with who everyone was and all that.
Very smart of you to do that. You didn't get to
hmm
keep the notes, so huh? Yeah, they kept them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the deliberation like? Did you all watch the video that Lori asked you to watch?
We did. Um, we were what we saw in court on the big screen, the clippets of it, was the parts that were actually important to hear. Like what she wanted us to watch wasn't anything. We were confused why she wanted us to watch the whole thing because what they showed was important pieces of the interview, and out of the whole thing, she was um, kind of smiling, laughing, not really serious. So we were kind of confused why she wanted us to watch it because it just helped in our overall decision.
It didn't help her then.
No,
Did it hurt her?
yes, because if you're in an interview minutes after this whole thing happened, you'd think that you'd be kind of like scared, shaky, maybe, questioning. But she took her sandals off, she crossed her legs, she sat up straight she was sitting in the recliner like she lived there. And then she was laughing and joking with the detective and yeah.
The word of the trial seemed to be one of the words was nonchalant, and that seemed to be that's what your take of how she was.
Yes, exactly that. It was pretty it was interesting to see how she acted like that after all that happened.
Was there a piece of evidence that really stuck out to you? I mean, did seeing the bat and the gun and the piece of floor, did that help put it together?
No. Well, so if we were doing Alex's case, it would have, right?
Hmm.
Um, but being on her case, we already know Alex did it. He admitted to it. What we were there for is the conspiracy to do it. So like seeing all the evidence, super cool. But it was the text messages, it was the interviews and how she was acting in court that helped us.
Interesting.
But the part that stood out to us was where she said that Charles was Ned before they got rid of him. She specifically said before we got rid of him. And then she said we're both going to be like Nephi. So
Hmm.
that was the part where we all were like, yeah, that's pretty insane.
So the text messages really are what kind of sealed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So, because she didn't pull the trigger, because she didn't use the bat, you're saying it helped add to it, but really you're looking at the conspiracy. Was that kind of hard to separate? Like, because conspiracy could be harder to prove rather than first degree murder.
Yeah, and that's why it took a little bit longer because, like I said, even though we were given all the evidence, she didn't use it. So what we were looking at was the text messages, was the videos of how she was acting. Another part that stuck out to us was she said that they ran out with no shoes. But in the clip that we saw from Walgreens, she was actually wearing shoes when she walked in and then continued to buy new sandals and switch them out by the time she got back to the scene.
Yeah. Oh, I know so many people are going to be glad to hear you say that because
Yeah.
when we would talk about that every night on Courtroom Insider, we showed the video and people are like, she's wearing shoes. Yet
hmm
he made a point that they had to stop to get shoes because of the hot asphalt in Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Tylee didn't have them on, but obviously we couldn't see that. But she also said that they both ran out with no shoes. So when we did watch the clip again and saw that she was actually wearing them and that she switched them out from the time she got them to the time she got back, that was pretty crazy.
What did you think of the encounter with her and Kay Woodcock, Charles's sister? Kay
hmm
testified and Lori didn't have much to ask her.
Yeah. Um, it was a really good interview. I think Kay did really well with how um, she presented herself and how she answered. Um, with how Lori was asking the questions, I think Kay did extremely well answering them back, even though Lori was kind of trying to crack her and trying to get something out of her that just wasn't a thing.
Right. What was your take on her defense that this was all just a family tragedy?
It wasn't. Um, like I said in the interview before, if he would have done it, if he would have shot him once, it could have been self-defense. But he ended up shooting him again when he was already on the ground, and you can't defend yourself when you're already on the ground. So him shooting him a second time was not self-defense. Um, it's not a I mean, maybe it's a family tragedy to Kobe and obviously to their side of the family, right? But Lori's side, it's not a family tragedy when it was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Walk us through. A lot of people have so many questions about being on jury duty, like
hmm
being called as a juror. You really didn't know anything about this case.
I did not. I've only lived here 2 years as of March, so I didn't know. I go to work, I come home, I play with my dogs, cats, and that's it. I scroll on social media, but it's not anything like that never has popped up because I've never heard of it before. And so I've
You
never seen anything about it at all.
hadn't seen anything about it. You get the summons. You go down to the courthouse. Did you want to serve on the jury, or did you care?
Um, I honestly, I thought whether it was this case or not, because I had no idea what this case was, I thought it was a pretty cool experience. Because I lived 24 years of my life in Minnesota and nothing. Like I've got nothing. And then I move here, and 2 years later, I'm on like the biggest case in America right now.
Right.
So
But yet
I
you
thought
didn't
it
realize it at the time.
right, but getting summoned to jury is a pretty cool experience no matter what case it is.
Right.
So I mean, I wanted to do it just to see how it was.
Just to serve. So
Yeah.
you get picked,
hmm
and I believe didn't the judge said you can tell people the name of the case, but that's it.
Yes. Yeah. So when that happened, I ended up telling my grandma, and she was like, Tosh, how do you not know who that is? Like, everyone knows who that is. What do you mean? And she was like, she was wanting to tell me all this stuff. And I'm like, Grammy, you can't tell me that. Like, don't tell me things. And so the whole time she was like, oh, I wish I could tell you this. I wish I could tell you that. How was your day? Like, just wanting to know everything.
Right. Yeah, I spoke with other jurors in the Idaho cases that was the
Mhm.
same thing. One actually, he had to go home and just go straight upstairs because all his wife wanted to do was talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard because um, nobody knew my name prior to this. And then, so nobody was asking me questions other than um, my grandma. And like my mom, she's back in Minnesota. And so when she was there, she was like basically just asking how my day was because she doesn't know anything about it either because she's from Minnesota. So it's not something we hear.
Right.
And but other than that, the second I gave my name out and how to spell it, it took off. Like everything's going crazy now.
Right. Everybody wants to talk to you. Did,
Yep.
what moment did you realize, okay, this is a big story, or there's interest? Was it seeing the people waiting outside the courtroom every day? Or are you just realizing it in the past 2 days since the verdict that this is huge?
I realized it, I think it was like on our second or third day because when we first got into it, like the first day, they gave us these badges. And if you look at other jurors there, they didn't have the badges like we had. And so we had them because we were on one of the biggest cases. We didn't know that, but as long as we had those badges on, we couldn't talk to anyone. So then that's when I realized, and walking up every morning and it said media staging, I'm like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like it before. So I think by the second and third day, I was kind of like, wow, this is bigger than what I thought it was.
So walk people through the process, you guys would show up at a parking garage and they'd shuttle you over. How did it all work? How did the day go?
So a lot, I think everyone but me, maybe even, um, parked in the parking garage a couple blocks away, and then they would shuttle them over there. Um, I let my wife drive me because I like my car and I don't trust people, so I didn't want to park it blocks away where I couldn't see it.
And
So
by
I,
the way, I would walk by you every day at the end of court. I'd be on the phone. I have to say, I can't talk right now. There's a juror. Okay, while you wait for your wife to arrive, and then I'd be down the block and be like, okay, I can talk. And it was so hard to not pass you my card. I didn't.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so your wife would drive you. So once she dropped you off at the
So,
courthouse,
yeah, she would drop me off and pick me up, and then I would walk up to the courthouse, staging areas there. Everyone's already looking at you because they know that you're on the jury because they've seen us. Um, so we walk in, go through the detectors. We were actually there so much that if we just walked through, they were like, "Okay, you can go through."
mm,
Like they were at the point
you,
where we're like, "We're seeing you every day." So
right.
um, then I would go get like a drink from the vending machine, but then we'd have to go through the elevators and up to the back area so that nobody could talk to us, question us, anything like that. And then we just had to sit there and not talk. Like we couldn't talk among each other either if it was about the case. We could only get to know each other. So
Right.
there wasn't much talking other than there was only two of us girls, so it was a bunch of guys being guys talking about motorcycles, their artwork, whatever. And so um but then we just would go through the back room, sit there and not talk till we got called onto the stand.
So then you go out, you'd sit through the trial, and then break for lunch, and you could go
Hmm.
have lunch wherever.
We could, but we had to keep the badge on at all times.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
did the court pay for your lunch?
No.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, the court lunch is not cheap.
Oh,
It's like a hospital lunch. Like it's like the hospital meals because they're not cheap. It's pretty expensive.
right. And what that was surprising to me, to be honest with you, in Idaho, all the jurors got their meals paid for.
Hmm.
They brought in a catered meal every day.
Yeah, I started bringing my own lunches
Yeah.
because yeah, because that way I don't have to go anywhere, be looked at during it.
You would
I
just
could
stay
just
upstairs in the room and eat.
Yeah, we went down, well, we go down to the quiet room. That's where the jurors are.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the day, was it hard? I mean, did you ever just want to walk out of there and like be like, what did I just hear and who can I tell? Or did you just kind of turn it off?
Um, I think most of the days I was like, I want to tell you everything, but some of the days I was just like, didn't want to think about it because I was already there all day. So it was pretty hard not telling anyone about it, but at the same time it was peaceful
Right.
because that we were already in the court all day listening to everything, and then to go home and just kind of decompress was nice.
Right. Yeah. So we go through 19 witnesses with the prosecutor, and that takes, 5, 6, 7 days over a few weeks. And then did you walked in and Lori said she was going to rest without any defense or witnesses. What was your reaction?
I think we all just kind of like looked at each other like, what?
Yeah. Were you wanting her to say something to have a defense?
Yes. um yeah, it was out of all of it, because we didn't know where any of her side was. It was all the witnesses from the state. So we were expecting the family members, like anyone, like her friends at the time, and just no one. So we were all just kind of confused. We all just looked at each other and like, that's weird.
Did you know that it was going to end that day and that you would start your deliberations like within an hour?
No, we actually thought we still had like 2 more weeks to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because they told you to keep your schedule clear through, I think, beginning of May, right?
Yeah, May 15th was the latest.
Yeah. So you get the case, the judge reads you your instructions, and it's lengthy instructions. I mean, it took like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and we had to go through it twice. So
Right. So he reads them to you, and then when you get together in the room, don't you have to go through them too?
yeah. No,
Oh, okay.
no, he read them to us, and then if we want to, we could reread them. I didn't see anyone that did,
Yeah.
just because it took so long. But he did it at the very beginning, and then he did it at the very end,
That's
and they were pretty thick packets.
so you go in the room and you were only there 17 minutes, I think, the first day. Was that
Hmm.
just to pick a four person, or how did all that work?
The very first day.
Yeah, after you guys got the case, sorry, the first day of deliberations, after the case,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, after you got the case and it was done and the judge said, "All right, the case is yours." You all went in a room. What did you do that first day for 15 or so minutes?
We actually just sat there and waited, and for someone to come tell us what to do.
Oh.
And then they were like, "You can come back tomorrow, and we'll start tomorrow." And then we did it all in that time, was the next day, and within like 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. So the first day, you didn't even deliberate the first day. You just kind of waited for instructions.
Yeah, yep.
And so coming back the next day, did everybody already kind of have an idea on who wanted to be the four-person, or was it just you did?
No, it was actually between me, or there was a guy with his
Long
long
beard.
beard. Yeah, the guy that was next to me. It was between us, and then we did rock, paper, scissors, and we voted, and it came down to him. So,
And then you said you had a verdict in really kind of less than an hour?
hmm, yeah, because all of us knew, except 10 out of 12 of us knew. So two of them were kind of still on the edge. So we rewatched everything. We rewatched everything that they wanted to see, that they were on the edge about. And then after that, we just came to the conclusion and they were ready.
Was there any sort of debate over like a particular thing, like, I'm not sure, or was it pretty much, no, this is what it was?
Yeah, this is what it was. Like for one of them that was on the edge, the part that set the whole thing was where she walked in with shoes, but said that she didn't. Um, he was like, well, she lied about that. So why would she lie about that when it's just sandals? Um, but yeah, that was one of the things that they were on the fence about, and we rewatched it, and he was like, "Okay, now I know."
Interesting that was
Yeah,
the key point.
yeah,
So you go in, they read the verdict. Did you look at Lori at all to see her reaction?
yes, and it wasn't anything. Like she already knew because the second they said guilty, I don't know if I don't know if you were in there, but anyone that was in there, you could tell that they just we all instantly looked at her when they said guilty, and she just that was it. Like she accepted it.
Right.
So,
No emotion, just like it
mm,
was just a fact.
yeah, like complete no emotion, just was just there.
Right. Were you hoping for something more from her? I mean, did you think she might break down or cry or
That or um go after someone because not that that's like what she does, but it was two we had one guard in there the whole time, but then during the time where she read guilty there was two of them just in case anything were to happen. So that kind of got us thinking like is something going to happen?
Right.
Hmm.
Did you know that she's been in jail this whole time?
No.
You didn't.
No, because she's wearing normal clothes.
Right.
She's wearing street clothes, so
And you didn't know about Idaho, obviously, the convictions there. And do you
right.
know that her husband's on death row?
No.
Yeah.
No. We didn't we did not know any of this until after. Well, I didn't.
And I mean, as you're learning this, what was your reaction?
It's all insane. Like I couldn't imagine doing any of this, going through any of it. Like it's so many she won't even be around when she gets to this sentence. That's how serious it is.
Right. Okay, so they read the verdict, the judge thanks you for your service. And
Hmm.
then what happened after that? Did he come and meet with you?
He did. He actually shook all of our hands and thanked us for being there. And he was a really good guy. He got us donuts one of the days, so that was a win for everyone.
All it takes is donut. That's so funny. That's so funny you say that, Tosh, because I in the first trial for Lori, I brought donuts one day on deliberation day for everybody in line, and we got a verdict that day. And then in Chad's trial, I brought donuts on deliberation day, and we got a verdict that day. I did not bring them on this trial, so people were like, "You got to go get the donuts. You got to go get the donuts." But the judge delivered the donuts a different day, but uh,
Yeah. Yep, he got us and everyone was just ecstatic over donuts and it was just so funny because we have to be so serious when we're there. So
right.
it was
Maybe
like little kids getting donuts.
Well, maybe they need to do something in Arizona where they actually like feed you all lunch for being there and give you snacks and stuff.
That would be nice.
So he thanks you for your service and then you're free to go.
Mhm.
What was that like walking out the courtroom and being kind of, chased down by all of us?
And so we knew that the reason that we had to wear the badges was that so nobody would talk to us or question us or anything like that. So when we gave the badges back and we were going down the elevator, I think all of our hearts were kind of pumping, like this is it. They asked if any of us actually wanted to speak to paparazzi or if we just wanted to walk out. And we all just said we just wanted to walk out. Because if we did want to, they were going to just walk us right to you guys.
Mhm.
Um, so we all just walked out, and then it was like we were a sizzling piece of steak. Like everyone, all eyes were on us. Everyone wanted all of us. It was crazy. I
Right.
was like, if this is what it's like to feel famous, this is insane because it was crazy.
It was a little odd to me that they walked you all out there after you had just said we don't want to talk to the cameras.
Mhm.
You would have thought they'd go out a side door or something.
Mhm. Well, it's not that we didn't say, it's not, we were able to say if we didn't want to, or if we wanted to, or if we wanted to just walk out. And we were like, we can just walk out.
Oh, I see. I see. It's not,
Yeah.
oh, okay. It's not like you all said no.
Yeah.
It's like, let us walk out.
If we did say no, they were going to have two of the officers stand by us and walk us to where we need to be.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because some of the other jurors I tried to grab and they didn't want to say anything. Um,
Hmm.
so What questions do you still have about this that you wish were answered?
That's a good question.
Like, do you think the story of what was told in the house really happened? Because really, Lori's the only one alive now that knows. And her track record
No,
is not the best.
no. Um, Going back through it, or well, not going back through it, but go watching everything now. You do get to see Tylee's interview, and she does say that she had the bat, which is what Lori was saying the whole time. Do we know if she told her to say that? We don't know. Stop.
Hey,
Sorry, the
Pat,
dog's barking.
you can. Oh, the
Um, do we know if she was told to say that? I don't know. But um what is going on there? There we go. Okay.
no worries.
She, if you think about it, the state had a pretty good point where if he was actually holding the bat, swinging it at him, Lori said he was holding it like this. The bullet would have hit his arm. It didn't. And actually, it was on the complete opposite side of him that it would have happened if he actually was holding it. So that was, yeah,
So, do you think that that you obviously? It sounds like you think it was all planned out,
yeah, it was staged.
and that he went into the house. Alex shot him, and was the fact that she waited 40 that they waited 47 minutes to call for help, was that a big red flag?
It was, because why would you do that? That's who would do that? I mean, if someone is shot and clearly not alive, you'd think you'd want to call the cops instantly. But in that time, she went to Walgreens, she went to Burger King, she called, her and Alex spoke twice within that time, and then finally they called. So why would you wait that long, you know, if it's something that had just happened?
Have you learned
And
about?
like
Oh, go ahead.
and like um yeah, I don't know. I guess I lost my train of thought.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you. Um, have you learned about the condition of JJ and Tylee, how they were found?
Yes. Yeah. That's extremely sad.
Yeah.
Extremely sad.
There was a lot of concern that if you all came back with a not guilty verdict and then saw what had happened in Idaho, that you might have some regrets. But I mean, that's not an issue that needs to be worried about now.
Hmm.
And also, I'm assuming that she has one more trial coming up.
She does, either June or July. And, you know, we can go there if we want. Some people asked if they can be on the jury again, and that's not a thing. But um, they told us that if we want to go back when the verdict happens, we're allowed to go in there and sit in there and watch.
Do you want to?
Yes.
And do you plan to go to the trial a few days just as a spectator?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting to hear your insight from the other side.
Yeah.
What did you think watching Lori just overall the whole trial? I mean, did anything impress you about her? Like, did anything stand out and help her?
I thought she was pretty good at cross-examining actually. Um, but the part that stood out to me and to everyone was how she was reacting to everything. When the state was talking, when she was talking to people, it was sassy. It was, I don't care. It was laughing, smirking. Anytime the state would say something that was a big deal, she would look at us and just kind of smirk and roll her eyes like it was no big deal.
So she'd look at you all and kind of interact non-verbally.
Oh yeah, yeah, the whole time she was making eyes with us, and but only every time that she heard something that was a big deal.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
Are you into true crime?
I'm actually going to school for criminal justice generalist. So, yeah.
Wow. So do you
Yeah.
listen to the podcasts and watch the shows, or do you kind of keep that separate from your studies?
I watch the shows. I don't listen to podcasts. Um, but I do watch, like, I love watching Body Cam. That's a super cool show.
Yeah.
And my sister got me hooked on Dr. Insanity because my sister's also, she actually just graduated yesterday from GCU for criminal justice. So
What did she think about you being on the jury?
she says she can't believe her sister's famous. she thinks she thinks it's just as crazy as I do. So
Isn't it interesting that just the fact that you respond to the summons and you happen to randomly get picked and now, everyone wants to interview you, much like the woman that went on a date with Charles Vallow the night before he was killed.
yeah,
Suddenly she takes the stand and a phrase of what she says goes viral. I mean,
it
it's
went like it blew up. It went viral. Yeah.
yeah. The other moment that a lot of people have talked about, the green chili enchiladas. Do you remember
hmm
that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What did you think of that moment when she was questioning her brother and brought that up?
So we were told, not told, but we're supposed to have just a straight face through it all. So nobody knows what we're thinking. So nobody knows if we're judging, you know?
So they
Um,
told you to keep a poker face.
yeah, basically.
Mm.
And so um, when the don't flatter yourself, the green chili enchiladas, um, there was another part in there, but when all that happened, we could hear each other kind of like make a noise just because it was funny and like can't believe this is happening right now, you know? But it was it was funny because we looked like we had straight faces, but to all of us where we could hear each other, we were all kind of chuckling on the inside, like making we were chuckling and only we could hear that, but it was it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be in touch with any of the jurors? I mean, did you all form a friendship or relationship?
Actually, I won't be because, like I said, I haven't been here very long. I don't know many people. I work and come home. Um, so like I don't really trust people that I just met, especially just like on the jury. I mean, we did connect with a couple people, but it's not something that I'd be interested in. But we did all write our numbers, our emails, Facebook, Instagram, just in case anyone did want to get in touch. And I know that the guy with the beard actually does make he makes his own jewelry, and so the other girl on on the jury, he made her something, and now they're staying in touch because he sells it.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so yeah, I mean, some people are gonna stay in touch, so, and but yeah.
there were a lot of people worried that there was a predominantly male jury, more
hmm
men, and that Lori chose
And
men.
and it was, but it didn't affect anything. Like we all got along super well. We all it wasn't male, female, this, that. It was actually like didn't come into play at all.
Yeah, that's good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's different because some jurors really form a tight bond, but those jurors are generally sequestered. They're having
hmm
lunch together every day. Then the trial's weeks and weeks and weeks. You guys could go do your own lunch, and it
hmm
lasted, 2 weeks, a little
hmm
over 2 weeks. So, what did you learn from all of it, Tosh?
Oh gosh. Um, a lot. I think I'm still coming down from all of everything because right now we would be there and we were there for a little over 2 weeks straight. So um, it feels weird to just kind of relax today.
Do you feel like you understand the court system better or differently?
100%. What I'm going to school for, with that, I can actually be like a courtroom assistant and have that background to help me out. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do when I finish school, so I can sit in on cases and help out. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Had you had that thought before this?
No, not the courtroom assistant thought. I was thinking of basically just going because I'm going for criminal justice generalist. So that's everything in the criminal justice system, the whole thing, not just corrections, not just court. It's everything. So I'm learning about everything. So really with this, I can be a detective. I can do just corrections. I can do courtroom assistant, you know. So, but being with the courtroom assistants daily, it was kind of cool to see what they get to do and that they get to sit in on cases. So,
That's very cool. Good for you.
yeah, thank you.
If you could have a chance to ask and talk with Lori Vallow, one, would you? And two, what would you ask her?
Why? I mean, like, we know why. Well, we don't really know why, but like in her form, we know why because the whole Nephi thing. But um, I'm not, I don't think I'd want to meet with her. Um, I just want, I just want to know, like, because I learned that she got released from the mental health thing
Uh,
because they didn't see any issues.
well,
Um, but I want to know, like, how she reacted during that and why they didn't think there was anything there.
so you think she has some mental illnesses?
I do. Um, yeah, I just, I don't really know how to put it, but I just don't think if you didn't, this wouldn't be a thing
Right.
because nobody does it for fun.
Well, she has been diagnosed with religious delusions, some sort of delusion, mental illness. But that being said, to not to be competent for trial, all you have to do is understand your charges and
Hmm.
assist in your defense. She
Yeah,
obviously assisted in her defense because she
she
did it.
did.
Do you think it would have been a much different trial if she actually let attorneys do the work?
Yeah, I do. Um, I think we would have, I think she stretched it because that that makes it so she can be out longer, you know. So if she did have attorneys, I think they would have got straight to the point. They would have known how to properly ask the questions, and so I don't think it would have taken as long.
Let me ask you real quick. You mentioned the Nephi thing, which was a theme
Hmm.
throughout it. Did you know anything about Nephi? Did it confuse you? Were there LDS members on the jury?
Um, there was actually the other girl. She said she was raised a Mormon. I don't. She didn't say if she still was or anything like that, but she said she was raised one. So, um, but I've never heard anything like this. I do watch. I watched. Let's see. So, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Oh,
Um,
there you go.
they talk about it quite often and their beliefs and stuff like that. So, I heard about it like that. But me being from a small town, there's nothing like that there. I come from a town of like 4,000 people, and there's
You
not.
don't know any Mormons, any LDS people?
I don't know, and I knew there was like a bunch of different religions, but like I didn't know anything about any other ones other than Christian or not.
Right. So, did the stuff about Nephi confuse you, sound odd? And I guess was that other member of the jury able to say this isn't mainstream LDS, or did
Yeah,
you pretty much make sense of that, that this isn't obviously mainstream?
we pretty much made sense of it, especially when um, I think it was Adam that testified, right? Yeah.
Right, her brother, yeah.
Um, he was like, "This isn't a thing. This is not. That's not. That's not what we do."
Yeah. Tosh, you've been a great interview. I'm sorry, that was longer than 20 minutes. You were just so
That's
fascinating
okay.
to talk to. What do you want to add?
Um, I don't really have anything to add other than I said it in the interviews previously, but I'm really glad that Charles's family got is at peace now. Um, they can finally sleep at night knowing that there's justice for him.
And do you plan to follow other like criminal cases now? Like, court TV, become a watcher?
Um, Court, I probably will. I stay pretty busy. I don't like to just be at home, so
Right.
I don't have a lot of downtime other than at night. But I probably will start watching Court TV, and I'm still watching Doctor Insanity, and I finished Body Cam, so I can't watch that anymore. But um, yeah, I'll probably stay on top of it more.
Well, Dateline over the past 5 years, I've helped work with Dateline. They've done, I think, 12 hours on this case. So
Wow.
you should go back to the beginning if you have 12 hours of time, and you can watch the very first episode was when Chad and Lori had not been arrested and were in Hawaii. And then
Hmm.
episode two is when they were arrested. Then episode three and four, and then the kids are found. It kind of tells it all. And they have a good podcast called Mommy Doomsday,
Okay.
which you can listen to, and that kind of tells the whole story. Unless you probably already have heard a lot of it, but there's a bunch of fascinating facts, and of course
Yeah.
that new trial coming up in June, there'll be more, and that'll be nice to see you there if you decide to come for a few days.
Yeah, I probably will, just to see what it's like to be on the other side
Yeah,
and look at the jurors that are there.
right.
I'll probably be there.
And there you go. My thanks to Tosh for speaking with me. Many of the jurors did not want to talk publicly, but if you happen to know of one or another one is watching, you're welcome to reach out. I'd love to talk with you and do an in-depth interview about your experience on the jury. A lot of people have no interest in dealing with the media, and I totally understand and respect that. And there's others that feel comfortable in talking about it. In Lori's first trial in Idaho, we heard from one juror, Saul. I interviewed him. And then it was a year later that I spoke with another one, Laura, who had a really, really fascinating perspective. If you haven't watched hers, I would encourage you to go do so. And there were a few others that came to some of Chad's hearings that I spoke with that did not want to go on camera, but they wanted to speak. Well, when Chad's trial came around, right after, many of those jurors wanted to talk. It was therapeutic for them. They wanted to discuss their situation. I met with five or six at the park, and then another one reached out, and I went to his home and interviewed him. So it's just different people for different circumstances. This trial was far less time, and as you can tell from what Tosh said, they didn't spend as much time together, so there wasn't as strong as a bond from my observation as there were in previous trials. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Brandon's trial as well when that comes up here in a few weeks. We'll be here to cover it, that's for sure. I do want to acknowledge our sponsor right now, Alan Browning from Browning Law in Idaho Falls. They are a law firm that helps with defense cases. So if you're looking for an attorney, you can give them a call. Their website you can find online. Also, big thanks to Teton Toyota loading up my Prius and headed home to Idaho. And looking forward to that nice drive. Teton Toyota, they offer rental cars, which is something I did not know until a few weeks ago. So if you come to visit us in Idaho Falls in Eastern Idaho and you need a rental car, you can give them a call. They will help you out. Let me get to some questions here. First one is from Dolly. Did anyone catch when Lori was leaving the courtroom and made a comment to the woman with the dark hair, possibly one of her advisors, probably her advisory counsel or her paralegal? It looked as though Lori was visibly upset and made a snide remark. I'm wondering if you know who that woman was and did you catch it? I did not catch it. I did see them talking. I don't know if I would necessarily say she had like a snide demeanor. Maybe she did. I can tell you she was far more upset based on my observation in Idaho when that one ended than here in Arizona. She seemed really upset in Idaho and didn't even talk to her attorney. She had her arms crossed and she walked out of the courtroom. So yeah, I don't know what that was like, but let me get to some of your other questions. This is Danielle. Listening to some of the jurors' interviews, they were very careful to not say anything wrong for the worry of a mistrial. What would they have to be careful of saying? Well, if they said that they had previous knowledge of the case, or if they're like, I watched Courtroom Insider every night, I watched Court TV, I went home and watched the trial, anything like that, could 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 be really careful. The judge did remind them every day of the admonition to avoid media and avoid talking to people about it. So That's what they had to be careful of. Does stipulation mean that Lori is admitting her guilt? Not necessarily. No, it doesn't. It just means that they stipulate to certain things. For instance, they can stipulate to, if the state wants to bring in a bunch of evidence, the defense can stipulate beforehand to save time, to be like, okay, yeah, we're fine with this. We're not going to argue this. Or vice versa. The prosecution can be like, okay, we stipulate that that's okay. In Idaho, they stipulated with some of the witnesses in Chad's trial, because it was such a lengthy trial, that if the defense wanted to go outside of the scope of questions that the prosecutor had, there would be some leniency, just simply to make the case move along. Otherwise, you'd have objections from one side saying, hold up, that's outside of the scope. So there could be all sorts of stipulations that are public and some that aren't. Lori stipulated to the aggravation factor, I think simply she didn't want to hear it read. She didn't want to hear the witnesses, anything like that. As much as I love you, Nate, this is from Kathleen. If the press had not been chasing the jurors down, there wouldn't be a question and possible mistrial. Why can we not leave the jury in peace? Good question, Kathleen. And it's a question that you have to wonder about. Different reporters have different styles. I'm not one to necessarily chase someone down. The way that I chase them down is to give them my card. I didn't take my cameraman with me and been like, what do you want to say? Other stations do it differently. It's a big story. We want to talk to the jurors. If the jurors don't want to talk, we don't. I talked about this last night, and even with Tosh a minute ago, that I think that the jurors that didn't want to talk to the media, they should have walked them out a separate door. But it sounds like they all just said, no, we'll just walk out the front and fend for ourselves. Our job is to report the news and talk to as many people as we can, and have them share their stories. And that's our job. We can't control what people say. We don't know what they're going to say. They can misspeak, and it can be as clear as if the juror comes back and says, I misspoke. I didn't mean to say that. I was confused. I was caught in the moment. And that can be good. We take people for their words. So our job is just to report without fear or favor and track down the facts. But you raise a good point. I totally understand your point. Should jurors even talk? I know it's a divisive issue. Many of you have different thoughts about it. I'm all for talking with everybody. Everybody. I think maybe you don't air it. Maybe we ran into this circumstance with Julie Rowe a few years ago. I didn't know what value Julie Rowe might add to the story, but she came into our newsroom. We did the interview. And then 2 or 3 days later, the kids were found, and the story advanced. The story moved on to a different level. It wasn't until at the end of Chad's trial last year, when Julie apparently was saying things online about that interview, of things she said that she said she told me, that we decided to release the interview. And I won't get into all that. I did that last year. So anyway, good point. It's an ethical thing. We talk about it a lot. It's the same thing that I ran into after there was a school shooting in Rigby, Idaho. Do you interview the kids when they walk out of the school? They've just witnessed a horrible, traumatic event. Do you go and stick a mic in their face? They probably have a lot to say. I didn't interview any kids. I didn't. I could have interviewed 50 kids that day, I'm sure. And legally, we would have had the right to interview the kids. It's not illegal for a news reporter to talk to a kid. At our newsroom, we get permission from the parents. But I could have, how do you feel? And I didn't. I debated there on the scene. Other news outlets interviewed the kids. I didn't. I've read a bunch of stuff about school shootings and how traumatic they are, and maybe looking back, maybe I should have grabbed 1 or 2 kids, but I didn't. But we all have different styles. So I'm not saying my way is right or that my way is wrong. Some would argue interview the kids. They saw the whole thing. I wanted to wait a few days before I interviewed a few, and I ended up not ever interviewing any. But that's how it was. Unfortunately, nobody, was killed in that horrible shooting. Casey, can you tell us if Adam has been apologized to by his family who did not believe him? I don't know all of those details about apologies or whatnot. I know that from what I understand, there's been some reconciliation within the family, and everybody, of course, has a different viewpoint. But if I get a chance to talk to Adam, I'll ask him. Will it be the same judge for Brandon's case as it was for Charles's? Yes, it will be. And that's why one of the reasons that it's going to be happening quicker, although Lori really pushed to have it happen quick, because she wants her speedy trial. But the judge is going to a different rotation in this summer, so they had to do it, or otherwise it would be a different judge. Is there a limit to how many victim impact statements can be read at sentencing? Not necessarily. It's up to the judge. He can have them read. Some sentencings take several days. Some it's short. Some they want the victim impact statement is mainly for the judge to use in his consideration of the sentencing, but some want to talk to the defendant. So it all depends on what the judge will allow. Sometimes people say, I want this private, please don't read it. And others times they say, I want this read, or I want to stand up and speak. And there are certain things that judges might not allow in. I know the victim impact statements in Idaho, the prosecutor looked at them and you had to be very careful. You can't just get up. It's how the crimes have affected you. You can't just get up and, spout off at the defendant. People have done that, they have, but it's really more to give your statement and talk about how this has impacted you. When is sentencing? Sentencing will be at the end of Brandon Boudreaux's trial. So the deal with that will be Lori asked for that, and once Brandon's is wrapped up, I imagine the judge will just sentence her all at once, and that's how that will go. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching tonight. My thanks to Tosh, our juror, for juror number 8, for chatting with us and sharing her insight. And again, if there's other jurors that want to talk, happy to speak with them. I'm headed out to Idaho. In fact, by the time you watch this, I'll probably be on the road. I pre-recorded today, and tomorrow we'll have a Mike Watkis here, probably from Las Vegas. Well, he won't be in Vegas. I might be in Vegas as I work my way home. But really appreciate you watching. This has been Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Talk to you later.